This week's episode in Brian's world includes my man from Fox 4, Malik Jackson. I've been wanting to talk to you ever since you and Mayor Lucas had y'all discussion, I would say, at the Fox 4 studios. But thank you so much for joining me on Brian's world. How you feeling today, man?
I'm good. Besides this heat, I can't get over it. I mean, I should be used to it. It's Kansas City, but man, it's hot outside. I walked outside at like 8 o'clock and it was still hot. And I
Oh
said,
yeah.
I can't do this. I can't do this.
Let's start with your background. Where are you from? Where did you go to school? All that good stuff.
So I know you may not like to hear this, but I like to tell people that I'm from Kansas City, but of course, from the better side of the state line, Kansas. Born in the dot, right? Lived there for 5 years. Then we moved out to um, the suburbs, Olathe. I went to Olathe East High School, and then I went to the University of Kansas, which is the best university in America, Rock
Ah.
Chalk Jayhawk. And
Look,
then I worked. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say you got no beef with me with that. I'm a D2 grad from Northwest Missouri State, so look, I don't even have a dog in the fight when it comes to K State, KU, or MU.
Yeah, so went to KU, then worked in Knoxville for a year, but I actually interned at Fox 4 in 2019. And so I knew some people here and they had an opening. And so even though I'd only been there for a year, sometimes God moves you when you don't even know you're about to be moved. And that was one of those situations. And he moved me here, and it's all she wrote from there.
I probably know your answer to this already, but was Fox 4 your favorite news channel growing up in KC?
Ironically, it was. Yes,
Okay.
yes, it was. And I applied for internships at some of the other stations, but this is Fox 4 called back first. And yeah, we watched. It's so funny to watch, and it wasn't such a big shift for me when I started working here because I had interned here. But it is kind of crazy to think about. Like I watched John Holt and Lauren Halifax growing up, and now I sit a catty corner to John Holt, and we talk trash every single hour that we're in this building together.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, let's see, who was Phil Witt, Fox 4,
Yeah,
the
Susan
legend.
Highland, yeah, and that's when
Yeah,
Abby Eden was working nights. Lauren was in the mornings, so
yeah.
some legends.
Yeah, shout out to Fox 4. That was Gary Lezak's first stop in
It
KC, I
was.
believe. Yeah, Fox 4 way back in the early 90s.
And we also know that your favorite station is Fox 4, right?
Yeah. I love all
You ain't right.
and your favorite radio station of all time is
Whatever one you work for. One of those. Not one of those ends. Not one of those ends.
Nah, man, I get it. I get it. Now, Fox 4, man, legendary station. I think they're the same age as Carter Broadcast Group. I think
Yeah,
is
we're
Fox 4 celebrating
75.
75?
Yeah, that was 75
Yeah.
in October. Yeah,
Yeah, two legendary stations in the city holding it down. So it
absolutely.
was news and politics something that you always wanted to cover, or did you just want to cover everything? Is this just
It
a
was so.
period?
It was just so. It's funny because I wanted to. The reason that I wanted to do this was because I like sports and politics, and I thought there's not many things in this world where those two things collide on a constant and consistent basis, like to the news. And so, at the age of 10, I started setting an ironing board up in the living room at home. And us black folks, sometimes we live with our grannies. And so me and my mom lived with my grandma, and she lived with us. I think I counted like 14 of the 16 years that she was alive. We lived together. And so she'd buy me suits from the thrift store. And I get off of school and I'd come home and I'd sit at get my scripts ready. And then I'd sit at the ironing board like I was a little news anchor. Head shakes like I'm listening to somebody and all. And so I just I loved it, loved watching the news. Went to high school, was on our news there. Went to college, was on the news there. And just it's nice when your passion and what you love to do, um, you also are able to be talented at that. And so those two things kind of came together. And I'm blessed, I'm lucky, and I never take for granted this opportunity.
I'm glad you said that about what you were doing practicing because that's where all of this starts. And whenever I go to schools and I talk to younger people, I tell them my journey, and my journey was similar to that because I had no clue what I wanted to do growing up. And in high school, Like my freshman year, I was at Paseo, but I knew I wanted to go to Northeast or another school to play football because Paseo wasn't getting a football team. And my father sat me down and was like, "Bro, you about to go to college in about 3 years. What do you want to do?" And basically he pointed it out to me that don't you like to broadcast the football games, turn down the volume and act like you're them, or listen to the radio every single morning? So what you were doing at home is what I was doing at home too, trying to practice on what we actually wanted to do. And it's important that young people hear that, because a lot of times they feel like it's stupid or like they're not doing it right,
Yeah.
when all you need to do is just do it.
Yeah, I was always so funny you say that. Number one, I always tell people, they say, "How long have you been doing this professionally?" And I'm like, "I'm 27, so if I started at 10, I've been in this business for 17 years. So I've been doing it a long time." And number two, it's that it can almost feel like embarrassing, like you're not as cool as the other kids because you're doing this. But no, you're just, you're practicing so that one day that you are where you're supposed to be at, and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And you can lean on those moments because nobody that's playing football, right, is every single time they work out to be on the field for Friday nights is with the team, right? They have to go home. They have to run routes. They have to do things on their own time to make sure that their talent and that their ability is consistently and constantly growing. And that's what I think that what you do and what I do, I mean, it's the same thing. If I didn't take those times to practice and to work with myself, then those would have had to be learning moments elsewhere, which I think would have delayed where I am now. So those are opportunities that you can, use to either be great, or you can use and not take the chance, and it won't work in your favor. But we like to think that we make the best decisions for ourselves, and you have to set yourself up for success as much as other people are in your corner. My mom and my grandmother are superstars, but at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you put yourself in the right place to get where you want to go.
Facts, man. Is it you got an offering going around or something? Because
I'll take some. I ain't
nah,
gonna go. I'll take some.
nah, that was good, solid advice, man. And whoever's trying to get in whatever industry you're in, that's applicable to any industry. So whatever you want to do, you could really have to go attack it on your own.
Yeah.
And you certainly did. You've been at Fox 4 for a minute. And I these stories that are coming out, it's like sometimes you thank God in the times that you were born in the places that you were put in, because it's like there are so many stories to cover right now. It's
Yeah.
crazy in Kansas
Yeah.
City, between the sports and the World Cup, Chiefs Royals and the stadium, and now City Hall. Let's get to that real quick. First, I want to start off with Frank White, and I know from not necessarily a street level, I guess a Kansas Cityan level, like people are fed up. And this ain't just one group of people. Is young people, is millennials, is older people. My mother has an attitude right now with the property taxes and so forth. What do you foresee with this Frank White situation ending like? What do you, with all of your sourcing and everything that you've seen play out and how Kansas City feels, how do you see this concluding?
Well, this is first and foremost, this is unprecedented. I mean, we just have not seen a county executive recalled here. It's not happened. And so, on one level, it's something that we've never seen. And so, to predict what's going to happen, you'd almost be a fool, right? Fool's errand. And then also, this latest situation where you have um, an August 26th election date, but then you have the people that are supposed to pull that election off trying to sue to not have the election that day because of timing and constitutional laws with balloting. Essentially, for starters, you would not be able, in the amount of time that is supposed to be granted, to get the ballots out overseas. That would have had to been done last week. That still has not been done. And so you have a situation that you're about to run into where
Overseas because of absentee voting or something like that?
absentee ballot, because
Okay.
there's people that live in Jackson County that are in the
Got it.
military and they're not here
Okay.
right now, and they still have a right to weigh in on the votes and what's happening
Okay.
here. So those votes matter, but guess what? we've missed the deadline already. And so trying to push this, but then you're also working against another law which determines how soon an election is supposed to take place after the signatures that are turned into the county and to the election board are certified. So you have all of these different like laws that are written in that are to protect voter integrity and to protect the people's voices colliding with one another. And then you have, the county executive reaching out or sending out the thing last week about some of the problems with this process and then asking for this to be delayed till November. And then you have another commissioner, legislator asking for this to be delayed. Megan Smith, formerly Megan Marshall, asking for this to be delayed. So it's kind of all up in the air. But I think what you said is the bottom line, and that is that people are frustrated. And people are upset with Frank White, and for a multitude of reasons. You have the people that are upset about the property tax issue. That was a debacle. I mean, no one can say that that wasn't a debacle, especially now when you're running into a situation where small businesses, the things that are the backbone of our communities, right, that are having to force shut down or having to just appeal and to fight for this. And I mean, talk about the older people who retire, and you retire, you're on a fixed income, and all of a sudden you have bills that you can no longer afford and you're selling your homes. I mean, these are not anecdotes or these are not fictional stories. Like this is what's really happening in Jackson County. And so much so that the state had to get involved. At the end of the day, Frank White oversees this county, and so that's his responsibility. Then you have the debacle with the stadiums. I mean, if you break down the numbers, it's going to be really hard for any other municipality, city-wise, Overland Park, Kansas City, Missouri, to get the Royals, you know, funded by the city. It's hard mathematically. It's not impossible. I'm not saying it can't happen, but when you put the numbers and how much money the Royals need, it's a lot. You need a county. Well, how did that go when we were in Jackson County? It didn't go well. You basically had a situation where, not basically, you did. The county executive was working against the sports franchise. One was campaigning on this side, the other was campaigning on another side. Those are some of the things that are happening that, again, are unheard of when talking about trying to grow and try to sustain your county. And then we saw even his letter last week, the county exec, where he says, okay, well, this is what we're going to do with this 3/8 cents tax. We're going to break it down, keep splitting it. But instead of taking this tax that currently the Chiefs and the Royals split the entirety of, we're going to split it three ways and give the Chiefs less, but still a portion of it. And then we'll let the city handle the Royals. So it's like once again, you're pitting yourself against this franchise for no reason. And it's like, why can't we just all sit down and come to a conclusion? And so, like I said, you have people mad about property tax. You have people mad about stadiums. It's like you're pissing everybody off all at once, and then you expect them to save your job.
We know the reason, Malik. And that's what I wanted to go to next, because this is why this is so unique. Like you said, it's so different because I I mean, I don't know every county in the United States, but I have not seen a former baseball player who was so beloved. Frank White was, and look, George Brett was the king of this town forever in terms of the rules. But Frank White was right there with him at number two.
Yeah,
So much so that he's the only other player to have his number retired for a number of years.
yeah,
Dick Hauser, Frank White, and George Brett. Those were the only numbers retired for a number of years for the Royals. So this is, and to have him be in charge of the decision
mm,
of either the Royals are moving from the K or to Kansas or whatever. That's why this is I don't know if people appreciate this situation enough. Maybe appreciate ain't the right word, but recognize. And that's where this is a mess, Malik. Like, this has been a mess from the start. People are fatigued. People are tired of it. So much so that I don't think people give a damn anymore about the
yeah.
stadiums. I think they rather see the money go somewhere else now.
Yeah, and that's the problem that the Royals and the Chiefs are running into. It's that yes, they love and support the franchises, especially I would say at this time, because it's always ebb and flow. But right now, at this time, the Chiefs, but there gets to a point where people are just tired, as you say, of hearing the conversation and they're ready to move on. Make a decision, make make up your mind, because now all you're doing is you're playing with us, right? It's like we're your toys and you're the kid just picking which toy you want to play with at what time. And it's like right now, can you, because so it's so funny. I was telling someone this. I went to the Chiefs press conference with Mark Donovan um, last year at training camp. And he said to me, I said, well, what's the timeline? And he said, 6 months. Well, guess what? Mark Donovan just held his annual news conference today, Tuesday, July 22nd, and the Chiefs still haven't made a decision. So it's been a year since that remark that their timeline was 6 months, and we don't know what they're doing. We don't know what the Royals are doing, and it's just, I mean, it's to a point where people are getting, like you said, fatigued and frustrated. And now you have people that for so long we've heard there's rumblings and grumblings of the things that are going on and people's frustration. And now those people are starting to talk and really voice their anger and frustration, particularly with, not believing that a deal can get done quickly and efficiently because of the people that are leading the city and the county, Frank White and Quentin Lucas.
Yeah. One last thing on Frank White before we transition. This property tax situation, that can't be 100% all on him, on one person. And I'm a believer in like all the gentrification that we see in Kansas City, them building up downtown, them trying to, get the streetcar popping. Money is flowing everywhere in Kansas City. Investments are flowing everywhere. So in that sense, I do get why property taxes are going up. That's just the way it is. That's the cost of doing business in a growing city. But man, I take Ruby Jean's juicery for an example over there on what's that, 3,000 Truths.
You
And Chris Good's property taxes has exploded.
skyrocketed.
And how can they, Frank White and his staff, justify this? Like you said it earlier in the pod about small businesses being the backbone of our community, especially in this day and age. Have they ever came out with any explanation at all as to why everything has skyrocketed with the property taxes, or is it just all on Frank White?
See, I don't think it's on Frank White, but there's that old saying coined by a former famous president who says the buck stops here, right? And so you have to realize that at the end of the day, he oversees that. That is a part of the county executive's purview, overview, whatever you want to call it. And so, no, I don't think it's all of his fault. It comes from the assessments office. McCann Beatty, who oversees it, and that's part of the legislation that's going to be a part of the next election. Is on if Jackson County will now have to move to a elected county assessor, because most counties in the state of Missouri have elected county assessors, but she's appointed. And so the state is trying to, the state passed a legislator now, the voters will vote to basically ratify that, where this is no longer just someone you can put in, but it has to be someone that the people want there. And it's not just on the county executive, but he oversees it. And you have to have a response. And when people are hurting and when the numbers don't add up, then there's an issue. And then when the numbers don't add up, and then the state attorney general then comes after you and files lawsuit, and to some extent is successful, then well, there's going to be a lot of questions that are being asked. And still, I don't think people feel as though Frank White has given an adequate answer as to how this happened, why this happened, why they're at some junctures taking losses in court. And now the problem got so bad, the state of Missouri is moving to make this an elected position. That doesn't look good. And also, it helps when you're present. There's a politician that you probably know who I'm thinking of when we talk about present and always on the screen in the media. I think Frank White has not done himself the greatest service with his media strategy, and that is he's not always available. When we reach out, getting an interview with him is like pulling teeth, right? He's not even always at the meetings that he's supposed to be at. And whether you say he has to be there, well, you would think that the county exec would attend regularly the legislature meetings, but he's not always there. And recently, it's been few and far between that he's been at the meetings. And so when people see that, and when people don't hear your voice, and when they're upset and they don't feel as though that you're responsive to their frustrations and their real concerns, and it's always, what did James Carville say? It's always the economy, or it's the economy, stupid, something like that. People care what's coming in and out of their pockets. And if they're losing money and nobody is helping them get that back or fighting for them, they're going to be upset.
Mm. We will see. The saga of Quite Frankly with Frank White continues in Kansas City.